Start it off.
I think the best way to start us off is that myself and Marcel, I'm currently 22, you're 25.
Dude, I'm unk.
Holy smoke.
Holy fuck.
And we're doing some pretty cool stuff. I think everyone nowadays has a podcast. I don't want to be another one of those guys jumping on the bandwagon, fucking running a podcast, whatever. But I think it's super cool to document the journey and talk about all the things we're learning, because we've done one of these, and I think it was like a year ago, back in March when we were in Bali, and fuck, so much has changed. And I'm like, imagine if we just did a podcast, even if it's just once a month, where we just jump on and be like, yo, we're going to ask you guys a bunch of questions. We got a big following on social media, so we'll ask you a bunch of questions and just drop free game. Try to give as much value as we can, and also talk about everything that we've learned going from basically 0 to 6-figure months at, only in our early 20s and now chasing $1 million a month. So yeah, let's kick this off. I'm excited. I'm with my boy Marcel. We're heading to Japan on Monday. We've got a crazy year, a lot of stuff happening, but I think we should start with our story. I think talk about how you got into sales and why you made the change to become an entrepreneur, and the rest is history.
So we did the first one back in Bali, so I think it's going to be cool to be able to watch like our progression over the next couple of years. We do one of these every quarter, and you guys will get to see us grow and learn as we learn, right? And we can just kind of tell our story, and you can learn through that. But yeah, I'm Marcel. I started this whole entrepreneurial thing when I was 22. I did my construction job. I got into an apprenticeship. And yeah, I just realized after finishing my apprenticeship and going into construction full time, as did you, that it just like really doesn't equate to anything. You know what I mean? I think in Australia, you get given two options. It's like you go to university or you get a trade. And I wasn't smart enough for university, thankfully. And I ended up in a trade. And it took me 6 years of doing that trade to realize like I'm never going to get the life I want. And it actually took for things to get worse before they could get better. So I had to get a really, really bad laboring job. And then I was like, there was this 2-week period in that laboring job where I was like literally shoveling mud into buckets and carrying them 20 meters and dumping them. And when I was in that 2-week period, I would just listen to ebooks and podcasts and like Eamon Gadzi, Luke Belmar, like all the guys. And for like 2 weeks, I was just like consuming. And at the end of that 2 weeks, I was like, okay, well, I'm never going to get rich like if I'm trading my time for money. So then I realized I had to trade something else. And I learned that you can trade a service, a product, or, a digital product. And then I was like, okay, well, how do I do that? I need to know how to sell. And that's why I got into sales, and the rest is history. A similar story to you, but you obviously used a different skill. But do you want to explain how?
Yeah, I guess I'm pretty bar for bar with that. Like I started, same thing, right? I had no desire to be successful from when I was basically the day I came out the womb until I was 18. There's absolute zero desire. And I was like, fuck it. Just cruising through high school, year 10, year 11, year 12. I was always a bit of a shy kid. Didn't like putting myself out there. Always like follow the crowd. Wanted to be liked by everyone. I didn't want to be different. Didn't want to like do something wrong. Like I just wanted to follow the crowd. And year 11, year 12, it was cool to like not try. I remember in school, it's like, oh, you're trying? Like, why are you studying? So it was cool to not try. So I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to try. I got like a 70 out of 100 in like my whole grades. I didn't get like crazy bad marks. I still got like, anyway, I wasn't dumb. I had somewhat of an idea. And then I went into construction, same as you. I was like, fuck it, this is like, I didn't want to go to uni. I could have gone to uni, but I had no direction. So I was like, I don't want to go to uni and like not know what I want to do, get like 100K debt. So I went into construction. I was like, yeah, I want to be a carpenter. I'm going to learn the skill for 5 years. I don't know why it takes so long, but learn the skill, how to be a builder, then start my own construction company. And like, I still had somewhat of like a desire to build something cool, but it was like a 10-year game plan to run a construction company. Anyway, that's what I was set on. I get on site first day, fucking hated it, and ended up thugging out a whole year from 18 to 19. I saw my boss. He was like, well, my big boss, he was like 50. He was like kind of cruising, but still like on site here or there. Then I saw my foreman who was in charge of me. So he was like 35 or 36 at the time. And he's literally doing the same thing as me. I'm like, so you're 17 years progressed in this career, and you're literally shoveling this hole with me. So I'm like, where am I going with this? This is like, it didn't seem achievable. I was like, oh, this is just like, I'm not really going to change much, like what I thought it was. So that's when, same with you, this situation had to get so fucking bad that I made a change, and I quit eventually after a year. Told my boss, this is probably one of the hardest conversations, one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make. It wasn't a hard decision, but it was a really scary conversation. I was thinking about it for like 2 weeks. Came in and I was like shitting myself. I was like, I think I'm gonna stop. Like I don't want to do this anymore. And I think I'm just thinking my boss is gonna rinse me and like call me a piece of shit, because it's like what happens when you're first year.
Yeah.
And he's just like, okay, makes sense. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah. It's like, bro, if you don't like it now, like I'm telling you, you're not gonna fucking like it. Like if you don't like it now, you're not gonna enjoy it. It's like, go do whatever the fuck you want to do. I was like, done. I remember I told him I like wanted to go travel, like because I was too scared to tell him I was starting an online business. I was like, I'm gonna go travel, have a gap year. And in reality, I didn't. I quit, and then I went and just started locking in on the business.
Yeah, I think construction's the best base for entrepreneurship, apparently, bro. But I had this similar thing with my dad. Like I was working for my dad for the first couple of years, and I was like dwelling on the conversation, and it wasn't even to start a business. It was just to move to Melbourne. But he pretty much like cried when I told him I was going to leave, stop working for him, because he was like, you're going to be a loser, because I hadn't given him any reason to think that I was going to be successful. So he was like having a mental breakdown. He's like, you're going to be a bum, blah blah blah. And I'm like, damn, like my dad's like almost crying because he thinks I'm a piece of shit. And then I flew to Melbourne, and that's when I got the labouring job, and then I was just DJing and producing and like being a degenerate basically. So he was right. But it was working that labouring job and not having that comfort, I guess, that safety net of working for my dad. And then that job was so much worse that it made me get onto online business and focus on that. And then by the time I came back to visit him, I was making like 4K a week. You know what I mean? And I didn't even tell him that I got into sales. He thought I was just down there being a degenerate. And then I came home and I was making 4K a week. And a lot of people were like, oh, should I ask my parents? Like, what are my parents going to say? And I'm like, don't even tell your parents. I'm like, go to them with proof. Don't go ask for permission. Because if you go ask for permission, they want the best for you. They don't think online business is the best for you, though. They want you to be safe. What is your parents' job? To keep you safe, to keep you comfortable, right? So if you go to them like, yeah, I'm going to invest in this, or I'm going to get into this business, they're going to be like, no, like go to university, work a trade. So I didn't even tell him anything until I was making 4K a week, and then I was cruising. So
yeah, I was the same. I wasn't scared to tell. Like I told him that I was going to do something different, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. But I wasn't like, I just didn't want to tell them what I was doing. So I was like editing videos. I started like halfway through my apprenticeship. So I'd work from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on site, and then I'd wake up early and I would work and like edit videos, and then after I'd get home at 4 p.m. and I'd be like editing videos. So I was like kind of grinding. Same thing with just watching Iman Gadzi, watch all these fucking vlogs. I'm like, bro, like how does this guy do this? Like I don't know. I was just so hungry. All I would vision is that. Just every single night I'd go to bed, I was just like, I want to be successful so fucking bad, so hungry. And then I remember on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, I used to love, because I was like, oh, I don't have work tomorrow. Like I can work all night and I can work in the morning. And like, that's all I wanted to do. And it's still to this day, like all I want to do is just work, which I remember my parents thought it was weird. They're like, why do you like go outside, like go see your friends, go party, like you're 18, you're 19. And I was like, there's literally nothing else. I remember Hamosi said, he's like, I just do the thing I want to do for the longest period of time until I don't want to do it. And that just happens to be work. Other people, it's Netflix, it's drinking, whatever. For me, it's like, I will work for as long as I want to work until I was like, okay, now I'll go do something else. But people have this preconceived notion of like, you can only work 5 days a week, has to be 9 to 5, and then you're doing too much, you're going to burn out, all this bullshit.
Yeah, I think that's like going from construction or going from any type of job to doing what we do. Similar situation to you. I think it's like at a certain point when you're watching these people online, how you're watching vlogs and you're watching E-Man and stuff like that. What the experience was like for me was I saw like young kids with heaps of motion, or E-Man was probably like, he's like the same age as me.
He would have been your age at the time.
Yeah, so he was like the same age as me, and I'm seeing him like absolutely print. And I was like, when you see it, you're like, okay, there's a different version of reality out there. And then you look at your reality and you're like, I can see there's a different way of living life. Like I can see other people making money. I can see other people have something figured out that I don't have figured out. You know it's possible, but then you're like making $30 working in construction, and you're like, what the fuck do they know that I don't? You're like, where is the disconnect? Because you know it's possible, you know it's achievable, but you're like, why is my life so bad? Yeah. So then for me, it was like, I can see there's a different version of reality. There's no difference between me and this guy except that he's figured something out. So then I need to figure out, same way you were like, how do I become successful? How do I become successful? It's like, how do you get that version of reality? And I guess that would be a valuable thing to touch on, is like, when you know that there's a different option, like the people whoever's watching this will probably know, like through watching our content, okay, there is a different version of reality out there. They don't work jobs. They fucking go wherever they want. They spend 2.4K on a fucking suitcase. Like, what is going on with these guys? They can see there's a different version of reality. What do you think the first step is going from, okay, I can see it, but how do I actually like get into that? Or what was it for you?
I think if you are thinking that way, it is fucking the best thing, because it separates a successful person from someone that isn't successful. All the people that aren't successful and they just like working their job and are happy, whether it's in a trade or a 9-to-5 or in corporate, is that they just don't think it's possible. They think that the people online that are doing it are like scamming people, or it must be a hack, or they got lucky. Whereas we would look at it and be like, fuck, it's possible. I'm seeing this guy living this fucking life. Like, I can do this. Like, he's doing it. Why can't I do it? I just haven't figured it out yet. I just haven't figured out how to get there. So that was the same with me. There wasn't for a second where I was like, this isn't possible. It's not physically possible. I can't be that guy. That didn't cross my mind for once. Yes, you'd have doubts, but I was always like, fuck, I can see Marcel, or I can see Iman, I can see them doing it. So why the fuck can't I do it?
Yeah.
Like,
I think you always got to try to think back to where was I for the first 22 years of my life. And it wasn't, for me, it wasn't necessarily that I didn't think it was possible, but it was the fact that for the first 22 years of my life, and it would have been like the first 18 for you, was you're not even like considering it, just because most people, this is what I believe, most people, life happens to them. Like, they're kind of just floating through life like a leaf in the wind, because the reason I know this, because this is what we did, right? So up until 22, it's crazy to think, because it's like you're almost not even conscious. Like, till 22 years old, I never actually sat down and went, what do I actually want my life to look like? I was never intentional. And I think about the pivotal moment in my life, what that was. It was just for the first time ever, actually going, I'm not happy where I'm at. Where would I be happy? And just for the first time ever becoming intentional about where my life was going. So there's two ways of living life, and I believe anyone can change it. Obviously, only probably 1% of people will, but there's two ways of living life. It's you're either just floating through life like a leaf in the wind, or you're intentional. And at that point, it's like you're driving the car. So it's like you can either drive the car, or you're just like basically on the back of a spaceship floating through space, and you got no control over anything. You know what I mean? And that's when everything changed for me, is when you actually, for once in your life, become intentional and ask yourself, like, what do I want, right? And then you see this different version of reality out there, and then you go, okay, what do I want my life to look like? And then what is the first step? What would you say the first step is to going, okay, I know there's a different version of reality. I want that. What is the first step to actually getting it? Aside from having a vision and stuff like that.
Oh, fuck, it's hard, because it just changes so much. I think it's believing that it is possible. 100%. I remember when I saw it, I was like, fuck, like, I saw Iman's video, and I was like, just doing research on social media marketing agency. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to be that guy. I want to do this. I don't know what, like, I wouldn't say the first step. I think it would just be, I remember it was like looking at my life and just being like, fuck, I believe that I can do something different. Like, there's this belief that it's almost like egotistical. People would say it's ego when you're like, I'm going to be that fucking guy. But it almost has to be like that, because you almost need that level of delusion into being able to see your future life and what you want to achieve, to actually take the right steps and the right action to get there and take enough risks. It's like, if you know and you're delusional that you will have this life in future, it's a lot easier to take the risks now. Because, like, for example, even if that suitcase that we just bought a fucking Renault, it was like 2.5 bags, and most people would be like, oh, I'm not going to buy that because it's too expensive, and then I'm not going to have money in the future, and like, I need money, and but we're just thinking, I know I'm going to be so much more successful in the future. Like, this is nothing, So I think it's just like thinking about the life that you want in future, and just being like, okay, what is that person going to do? What type of risk does that person take to get there? And being delusional that you are going to achieve it, so that when it comes down to, I got to drop 10K on a mentor, like, you don't even really think twice about it.
I would say that's like the foundational beginning points is like, yes, what we just spoke about. So vision, having a why, like, why is that vision actually important to achieve? And then the third thing is like belief, right? So it's like, what is it? Why do I need it? Because without the why, then it's like, okay, cool, we have a vision, but like, you got to get up out of bed every day and actually put the work in. That's what your why is like the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. Your belief is then, can I actually, because you can have the best vision and the strongest why, but if you don't actually think it's possible, then you're not going to take any action. Once you have those three things, then the first step I believe you got to take is ask yourself, what skill sets do I need to acquire in order to get that life? So it's like there's different paths, but there's certain skill sets on any regardless of what path you take. So the skill set you started with was content and marketing and understanding how to actually generate leads and generate money through being in front of people. And I was the opposite, right? So we both came from construction, but you learned how to attract clients and customers and get in front of people. And I learned how to actually sell to those people. They're basically like a dynamic duo thing. But yeah, so start with the skill set, I would say, is like what I always tell people, and a big message in my content is like, don't start a business, learn a skill, right? Because would you have been able to succeed as an agency if you didn't have any idea about content or marketing or videography?
No, like for the first 2 years, we were fucking trolling on the agency.
Exactly.
Like it took us 2 years to get to 30K a month.
Yeah.
Like that's not good, you know, like, and if I had just locked in on a skill, I feel like I would have got there a lot better. Now, the way that we were even able to get to that point was because I was learning so much skills from the agency, but it was just, it's too much, like too many different skills, too many different team members. And that's like, you're trying to do so many different things at once that nothing really works. Whereas if you were to just lock in on sales for 2 years, not even 2 years, 6 months, and generate a fuck ton of income in sales, and then start to like learn more as you have that
Do
one
you know
skill.
how I got into sales there?
Social media, marketing agency?
Yeah, well, so I failed at starting an agency. So I saw an email. I was like, yes, I'm going to be the next email Gadsy. And then I tried to start it. And as I tried to start it, I went like, okay, so I got to run ads, and then I got to get these clients. I got to find them, and then I got to close them. I'm like, I don't know how to do any of that. I can't run ads. I can't close people. So it was the logical next step than going, a business is a bunch of different skills in one. And I don't have any. So I need to go focus on the skill. Through focusing on the skill, within 1 month, I quit my job. 6 months later, I was doing 10K. And then within like 10 months, I was at 30. And then when I introduced content, obviously everything exploded. But I always tell people, it's like, if you want to move as fast as possible, focus on the skill set first, because business is using your skill sets to provide value to the marketplace. So like you said, that first 2 years where you were trolling, it's because you just didn't have the skill sets, so you couldn't really provide the value. But as soon as then you had the skill sets, and you started providing value, and you started making money.
You can provide value, and you can also scale your business.
Yes.
And also, to anyone watching this, if you have learned the skill set and you are thinking of going into a business, most of you would do it with a business partner, which I do recommend, but make sure that they actually bring value to the table and that you are going for someone that has a skill set that you haven't learned, right? So for me and you to partner up on a business would make sense because you have a skill set that I haven't learned. Hence, with my current business partner, Noel, has a big background in sales and managing sales teams. I got no idea how none of that shit works, to be completely honest, compared to him. And so that makes sense for us to partner and to be business partners, which was a lesson I had to learn pretty early on as I was building my agency. Is I didn't really know much. I was just a hungry kid, but my business partner didn't really know much either. So it was like, you're never gonna really... It doesn't make sense to just split a business 50-50 if all you have to bring to the table is time. You know, you're better off just hiring someone realistically 100%. At that point. And that's like another thing I look for when the most common trait between successful people and unsuccessful people is hunger. That's what I found is like every time I see a hungry kid, I just like want to try to get him on the team or try hire him, whatever it is, because they're just go that extra mile. And I remember I was the same. I was like, Alfie would invite me out to a shoot at like fucking 4:30 a.m. and I would stay there, and then I'd fucking drive back home, and then drive back out for dinner, and like just do so much stuff where I was barely sleeping. I was spending a fuck ton of money, and I just knew it was worth it. And it's just because you have that hunger. So I think you need to have that level of hunger where you are just willing to do anything and willing to always be a student of the game.
Even like in sales, you always take the hungry and the active person over like the talented person, right? So you can be like the best speaker in the world, but the guy I learned this myself because I wasn't the best closer in the beginning, and I wasn't like the most well-spoken person. I would suck at role plays, but I literally, within probably a couple months, I went into the sales team and I started outperforming all the closers that had been there for time. And it was literally based on nothing other than hunger and desire to like actually win. So 100% agree. I think if you're starting out, you can just like literally brute force your way to success by being the hungriest person.
100%.
And that's not necessarily something that can be taught. You know what I mean? It's like you can change, but This is what I explain to people in
I
the...
don't think like I think you should be the hungriest when you're starting out.
Yeah.
And like if I'm with, I can just tell, and it's not even a matter of, I just don't put any energy or effort into people that aren't hungry. Like every time I'm surrounded by someone or someone's working for me and I can tell they're not hungry, like I just put no energy or effort into it.
Do you think there's a genetic component to success? Like, do you think some people are born for it and some people are born with like less? Or do you think it's all built and learned?
No, I think it's from the content you consume. Because I had no desire to be successful. I didn't even fucking like. I just thought you'd see rich people and you're like, oh, like that would be nice, but that's impossible. There's literally impossible.
Do you think some people are just NGMI though? Like they're just not going to make it regardless of what you do?
I think if you depend. I think if you try enough, like you can 100%. Like you see guys out there that just like it's not actually that hard. Like if you just put in enough reps, like yes, maybe you're not going to be doing 100K compared to someone that is fucking fly. maybe you're not going to get better results than someone that is more talented and genetically, but you're going to get results. You know, you're
a lot
going
of
to
the times
be better
like
off.
a lot of the times fucking talented people end up being, or like talented or like attractive people, they end up being less successful because they're not like they don't want to work hard because there's no reason to. So I've met people where things come very easy to them and they end up being like the least successful people because they don't have to work for anything. But I swear sometimes there's like a genetic component of it. Like
I think it just comes down to delusion and your level of belief. Like there's a certain, like we were 100%, like I won't say 100%, but like we had a level of belief that caused us to invest, take action, make a difference, and like just do nothing else but work until we achieved it. But there's some people that, okay, the reason that they're probably not that hungry is because they don't have enough belief and enough delusion to think that it's actually going to work. So they're kind of playing on the safe side. And, you know, if I told you, hey, Marcel, if you fucking walk around the corner and I'm going to give you 100K, I guarantee you, if you had the belief to do it, you'd probably go out there and do it. And so I think it's like when you're delusional enough to be like, I know I'm going to get my success, I know I'm going to achieve my success, then you will achieve it. Like you will take the actual steps needed to get there. And people are like, what do they say? Like, I can't remember what it is, but it's again when you speak things into reality. I remember I'd sit there at home, I'd be like, I'm going to be successful, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I don't think it's the idea of you just saying it out loud and it happening. I think it's the level of delusion of you being like, I know that I'm capable of achieving these things. So then when you wake up tomorrow, the steps that you take are completely different to if you were like, that's impossible, I'm never going to achieve it. You wake up tomorrow and you just like go back to work.
Yeah, that's what I tell everyone in my inner circle is I think most of it is like an identity thing. So what you were saying is it's not necessarily the affirmations or the things you tell yourself, but it's if you tell yourself those things enough, it becomes who you are. And then you just start acting like the person, right? So for us to get to 10K a month, we just had to act like the guy who would be making 10K a month. Right? And when you start to look at yourself that way, that's how you get to every level. Like we also got to understand the version of us that's making $1 million a month, they're moving differently and they have different systems and they have different connections and they operate differently. So if we want to get to $1 million a month, then we have to act like that person now. And that's a constant process that you're in, is constantly trying to upgrade your identity and upgrade your character to who that version is. And it's not easy and it's not going to be fast, but that's how you got to show up, is like, okay, if you want to make $1 million a month, how would that version of you move? What would his days look like? How would he carry himself? How would he communicate with people? Who would he have on his team? These are all the things. And if you're watching this right now and you're like at 0K a month online, you just got to start with, okay, the version of myself that's making 5K a month online, what skills does he have? Where is he learning? And how is he operating? And as soon as you start answering those questions and acting like that person, that's when you get it. So I think it's fundamentally an identity, and your identity comes from your beliefs. So this is what I always explain to people, is like, if you think it's hard, then it's going to be hard. If you think it's easy, then it's going to be easy. The person who thinks it's impossible and the person who thinks it is possible, they're both right? So your beliefs create your habits. That's how you view the world. And then that becomes your traits, your habits, and how you view the world, and that becomes reality. So it sounds huru guru, but it's true. It's like if you don't think it's hard, like if you don't think it's hard and you think money's going to come easily and you think people will pay you, then they will. But if you're like, oh, I have no clients, they're so hard to find, no one's going to, like, I've spoken to fitness coaches and they're like, no one's going to pay me $2,000 for fitness coaching. And they're like charging like $300. I'm like, do you know how many people I know that charge like $5,000 for the same thing that you're doing right now?
Yeah.
And then they get a terrible result, and the person who's charging $5,000 gets a completely different version of life, and none of it is actually tangible. The only thing it is the belief.
Yeah, I think you just got to be like brutally honest. Like if I was to look at myself right now, I know why I'm not making $1 million a month. It's because I'm not moving like someone that's making $1 million a month. And I think it's just, almost impossible to just be like, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to wake up, start moving like $1 million a month.
Yeah, it's a process.
I'm making $1 million a month.
You
like,
start at 100K, and then how does he move, right? And you're already close to getting that.
Yeah.
So am I. So it's like becoming 100K version, then it's becoming like 200K version. Yeah. It's slight tweaks. What you got to do is not, like if we go straight to $1 million a month now, you almost have
too much of a gap.
The more conviction that you have in the belief, the easier it is to materialize. Yeah. So if you say, I'm a $1 million a month owner, but you've never made 100K, you're not going to actually have conviction in that belief. But if you're at 70 and it's a few slight tweaks to get to 100, and then you just start moving like the 100K, you can have way more conviction, right? And if let's say you're at 70, 80 right now, you're just like, okay, I'm going to hit 100K next month. You just tell yourself that, and then you just like, it just starts to happen. Yeah. That's something people don't realize, is you can literally bend reality to your will through your beliefs.
It's definitely an identity thing, because I remember mine changed when I was traveling with you and Nelson, because I remember I came up to the Gold Coast and I'd always be like, oh, it's like, fuck, that's expensive, like $10 coffee, or like, oh, I'm not going to spend that much, like I don't want to spend too much money, or this is too expensive. And you would always pull me up and be like, bro, you're thinking like someone that can't achieve
100%.
And I remember I just came, like, eventually after like a month of traveling with you and in Japan, I was like, fuck it, like why am I thinking like this? If I want to be someone that's making 100K, they're not going to worry about the things I'm worrying about right now. And so I just started thinking like someone, I wasn't thinking like I was going to do someone 100K, but more the 50K version of Finn. Okay, how's he going to move? And so I was moving every single day, and just everything started to change. The second I switched my way of thinking, of being like, how would someone who's making 50K a month move? How would he spend his money? What would he stress about? What would he focus on every single day? That's when things start to change.
100%, yeah. And it's something you always got to check yourself on, like being stressed out about a $5 coffee. What like frequency are you in as a person? It's like you're in a scarcity frequency. Yeah. So if you put that out, that's what's going to come back. If you're penny pinching, it's impossible to get rich that way. That's why it makes no sense when people are like, oh, this is like a silly purchase, or it's this or it's that. It's like, I'm not saying be stupid with your money. Obviously be smart with your money, but it's how you're thinking of it. Are you not doing things? Because what I learned about identity is your old identity or your current identity is sticky, right? It clings to you. It doesn't want to let you go. So if you're watching this, you probably notice times in your life where you're starting to upgrade, and then your old identity is like, no, don't leave me. And it's like, no, that is expensive. Don't do it, Finn. Like you're not that guy yet. But then it like creeps in, but then you got to tell yourself, you're like, no, I am that guy. So your old beliefs and like your old traits and your habits and your thought patterns, these are things that will do everything they can to continue to exist. Right? Because they don't want to die. Because you got to kill like the old version of yourself to become a new one.
Yeah, it'll be uncomfortable. Because I remember there's times when you're like, for me it was just a lot of traveling. Bring a filmmaker along, spending more money than on paper you really should be. Like it's not necessarily the safest way to go. But it was also like, I just know that I need to be this person. I need to act like this identity. And the second I started spending more money, I started making more money, like literally instantly. It was like the month by month thing. I'd just start spending more and I'd start making more. And obviously you look at the margins, you're like, well, fuck, like, yes, you're making more money, but I'm also spending more money. But I think there comes a time that there's literally, like, you can't realistically spend any more money where it makes sense, unless you're just buying stupid shit. And so the gap starts to create, and you start to go, okay, well, now I'm living abundantly, but I'm making way more money. And you just start to see this gap create between like the type of person, the type of identity that you are, and this like the money in the bank account.
What would you say, I guess, within the last 6 months to 6 to 12 months, what have been the biggest shifts for you, whether it's like mentally, physically, spiritually, financially? What are the things that have made like the biggest impact and the biggest change in your reality?
I think the idea of seasons was a big one, which is like thinking that all I have to do is just work for like 12 months a year and just like lock in. I have been locked in since August. and that was like August last year. And so it's been like 7 months, nearly, or 6 months now since I've been in Australia, and it's like a long time because I spent 8 months traveling. So for me, I think it was realizing how much my growth slowed down when I stopped traveling and stopped meeting new people and putting myself in like all these different situations. Yes, it was required to build the business, but I think you need
stay vertical.
You need a mix of traveling. Is why we always, whether it's Japan, whatever it is, you always end up traveling because so much happens, so much growth changes. Yeah. If you're an entrepreneur and you're just starting out, or you're maybe making 5K, 10K a month, I strongly recommend you go to Bali. That's what changed it for me, which was going to Bali, living over there, and that nomadic lifestyle. Marcel
Don't go to Bali.
That nomadic lifestyle, or Dubai, wherever it is, go somewhere, and if you're working online, or you can run your business from over there, just do it for like 1 to 2 weeks. And I think it just changes so much. I came back and saw, so much stuff changed as me as a person and my business when I went over and just worked in a different country for 2 weeks. What happens if I just live there? What happens if I live in this country? So that's what I did. I spent 8 months overseas, and I had the most growth I've ever had in my entire life.
I think I'm from Bundaberg, right? So when I was born, there was 44,000 people population total, right? So no one really did anything out of the norm. And driving around in a place like that and speaking to people in a place like that, nothing actually ever causes you to think bigger or understand that there's anything else out there. So the reason why leaving and traveling around, the first time I started getting to like 30 to 50K a month, first thing I did, flew to Japan, flew to Dubai, flew to Miami, flew just like everywhere, like Spain, and just like experienced the world. And when you do that, especially being from a small place like I am, it literally is like what I said before, in your beliefs. If you've only ever seen blue collar work, small little house, farm town, that's what you're going to think life is. So getting out of your shell and getting out and seeing the world gives you new data sets to understand that there's different opportunities out there. There's a different way of life, whether it's being like a nomad in Bali or living like a rich guy in Italy or whatever it is. There is different version of realities, and there's different data sets everywhere you go in the world. What you learn going to Japan, what you learn going to China for like e-com stuff, what you learn going to Marbella, and there's all these different people there in Dubai. You learn different things everywhere. And if you're not out there and you're not vertical and you're not in these places and you're not communicating and learning and experiencing different things, you don't actually ever get the personal development or the growth that you need. So that's definitely a big one. Would you say that's like the biggest thing that has helped you kind of grow over the last 6-12 months?
Yeah, I would say 100%. Like when I went to Japan with you, Fletcher, Nelson, like pretty much everyone, maybe not Donnie, but pretty much everyone on the trip was making more money than me at the time.
Yeah.
And so I went and spent 3 weeks and saw how you guys operated, saw how you guys took sales calls when you guys were hopping on coaching calls with ABC, and all these little things that caused me to realize, I'm actually, because at the time I thought I was doing okay. So I'm actually quite far behind. I don't actually know that much, and I should be a beginner. But it also launched this new like level of hunger inside me to be like, I want to be fuck this shit off, bro. I want to be more successful. And so I think it was just the combination of like being in a new country, making money online, but then also surrounding myself with literally 3 or 4 other guys living with them that are all making more money than me. It's like, that's when I saw the most growth compared to me being like, hey, I'm going to sit in my room, I'm going to lock in, and I'm going to try to figure this all out on my own.
Yeah, 100%. So personal development wise, obviously that's like an experience. What would you say the biggest difference personal development wise has been over the last 6 months?
I think you just become the person you want to be more when you get out of your hometown. I think like I didn't realize how much I cared about other people, what they thought, until I left. But when you're in a new country, you don't know a single motherfucking person there, and you're not going back home for a long time. It makes it pretty easy to just like do whatever the fuck you want to do. And so I just started doing things that made me happy. I started posting content that made me happy. I started pushing out stuff that made me happy. And not only did it make me happy, I was becoming the person I actually truly was meant to become. And then I was also getting a lot of success from doing it. And I think it's that people will see, I think that's the difference between like people who have a big personal brand and don't, is like they understand that this person's literally putting their whole entire like life on the line, and they almost like envy the idea that you can actually put yourself in content. You can talk in a video and talk about how you struggled growing up and push that out online, because they know they would never do that.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's what creates such good personal brands and like builds entrepreneurs and builds successful people online.
So you would say it was just mainly getting out of like your comfort zone and getting out of your shell?
Getting out of my comfort zone and like for me, I was too scared to get out of my shell in my hometown to like just start being a different person. So I was like, fuck, I'm gonna get a one-way ticket to Bali and let's see what happens. And then eventually, day after day, I was meeting different people, guys that were also posting content. Oh, this guy's posting content. Like this guy's fucking, he doesn't even give a fuck about me. He's not gonna say shit about me. He's too busy working on his own thing. And so just allow for you to completely focus on what you actually want out of life and what you want to achieve, compared to when you're back home, maybe you're working online, but you're like, you don't tell any of your mates that you're running an online business because they're going to give you shit for it, or you're not going to miss a night out because your mates are going to call you a fucking weirdo for not drinking or whatever it is. Like all these little things that when you're overseas, you just do whatever you want to do.
What would your advice be to like, just say like your 18-year-old self before you got started? Because obviously people watching it, trying to get into the position that we're in. If someone's like that, what are you telling them?
I'd say take more risks. I definitely feel like I didn't take as many risks as I could have taken. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be scary. And it's going to obviously cost money, probably, most likely. I can guarantee you, if you're not spending money, you're not putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, then you're not realistically going to get to where you want to go. In my first like 3 months, I'd spent like 25, 30K. Like I sold my car, sold everything and just spent it all. So I think taking more risks, but then I also think, just moving like the person you want to become. Stop moving how you are now, because realistically, if you look at it right now, how you've been moving for the last 2 years, you've probably not made much growth and you're probably not where you want to be. And so if you keep moving like that, realistically, you're going to stay like that. So I would think of the type of person you want to become in 6 months. We're not talking 10 years, we're talking 6 months, that type of person, and start moving how he would be.
I always tell people it's like where you are right now is a reflection of your thoughts, beliefs, habits, traits over the last 6 months. So if you don't like where you are right now, unfortunately, you created that reality, right? So everyone's like, oh, you can manifest whatever you want, but it's like the negative shit is you as well. Like you literally thought that into reality. Like I said before, your thoughts dictate your perception of reality and your perception becomes your reality. So it's like, you might not, if you don't like where you are right now, the first step is going, hold on, my thoughts, my beliefs, my actions created where I am right now. So I chose this. But the light that comes out of that is I chose this situation that I'm not happy in. That means I can also change one that I am happy in. So it's like you created the life that you have right now, but that means you can create the life that you want. So it's just going, okay, I've had these habits, these actions, these traits, these beliefs, they've led me here. What do I need to change in my beliefs, in my habits to get the life I want? And then you can just materialize whatever you want from it, right? But it starts on the internal. It always starts on how do I, like you said, just start acting and believing and thinking like the person that's got the outcome. So my advice to like my 18-year-old self would just be know what you want, like understand why that's important for you to get, have a clear vision of it, believe that it's possible, and then like you said, just start acting like that person would. And that's pretty much how you get everything, right? And obviously people can have those things. If there's not aggressive action and aggressive implementation on the back end of that, then you don't get it. But it really is that simple. It's just like know what it is that you want, aim at that shit, really, really want it, like by having a strong why, and then you just need to show up and make it happen. But it is very simple at the end of the day. I think whenever I see someone either commit or let fear and uncertainty stop them, I always chalk it up to you either want this shit or you don't. Like it is that simple. If you want it, you'll figure it the fuck out.
Because I remember I used to see Iman and he used to say the same thing. Like, oh, it's easy. Like you just got to lock in. I'm like, fuck this guy. Like he's got it. Of course he's going to say it's fucking easy to do, right? But
well, it's not easy, but it's like, it's simple though.
Anyone can do it. And I think that's the one thing. I think also a big one is that people have this preconceived notion that it's going to get harder. Where I don't actually think it does, because yes, the problems you solve get harder, the stress is harder, but you have this level of motivation and belief because you've seen progress. And so it's like, yes, maybe going from 10K to 100K a month is harder, but at least I have the belief that I got to 10K a month and that I set myself out on this goal and I achieved it. Whereas if you're at $0 a month and you're trying to go to 10K a month, you're like, well, I've got nothing to base this off. I've got literally no belief, no motivation, no hunger. I just know I kind of want something, I think. But like, what am I basing this off? Whereas us now moving to, you know, even chasing $1 million a month, it's like, we've got the belief that, yes, we hit 10K a month, 20K a month, 50K a month, whatever it is. Like, we have that belief. And so getting to $1 million a month doesn't seem delusion, doesn't seem hard, doesn't seem out of reach. It just, we got to take the steps to get there.
What I realized on my journey is like, it's a process of proving that you are who you say you are. So it's like, for you, it would have been the same thing. But I remember I was like, I'm going to make money online and leave my job. And when I did that, it's like, so you got zero certainty in the beliefs that you have before you've done anything. But you just say you want to do something. And then if you do it, it's like, okay, that's like one notch in the belt of like, okay, maybe I am this guy. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to make 5K a month, made 5K. That's another notch. By the time so 10K, then I hit that. By the time you get to like 10K and you've said you were going to do something and proved yourself right, after like the third or fourth time, that just becomes who you are as a person. So now it's like, we're just at the level now where it's like, we say we're going to make 100K a month. We're going to make 100K a month because we just, up until this point, every time we've said we're going to do something, we've proved ourselves right. But the inverse is true. If you're the type of person who says you're going to do something and you don't, or you fail, you're proving to yourself subconsciously that you're the type of person who just is on chattings and you just talk and you never actually put no action behind it. And where do you think those two things lead you? Like, you either you keep the promises you make to yourself and you become that guy, or you don't keep the promises and you become a piece of shit. That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
So
it's fucking hard to fall off. Like, to be completely honest, like, you have to really be a piece of shit to fall off and not want it. Like, if I went to $0 a month tomorrow, like, I guarantee you I would have so much fucking hunger and I could get it back. And it's like, to actually fall off, I think it's a choice. You've skipped, it's a choice, and you must have skipped steps and you must have got lucky at some point and you missed a core lesson and you need to go back to the start, to the foundations.
Maybe it's not genetic, but what I've noticed in my friends and different people is if you fail, it is a choice. And I think 9 times out of 10, certain like archetypes of people and certain individuals I've seen, and I've helped them get like financial freedom to now where they control their time, they control their schedule, and they've ended up going back to a job or back to a trade or whatever it may be. And I think the reason is some people are more comfortable and they enjoy being given a schedule and being given things to do more than they like controlling their own thing. Because a lot of people, they get that freedom and they get that control, but what do they do with it? Jerk off, smoke weed, do all this bullshit. And it's like, that's what you do with the freedom. So it's almost better for some people to be in a 9 to 5, you know what I mean? But obviously us, when we get our time, we use it to better ourselves. But some people are they're literally better off getting told what to do. Here's your paycheck. It comes at a
cost. Yeah. Like, I feel like they're not aware that it comes at a cost. And then once they realize, oh, fuck, I actually have to work every single day. Yeah. They're like, oh, fuck. Yeah. Well, I'd probably actually rather have an easy life and make less money than have a hard life and be the person I want to be.
That's what a lot of entrepreneurs leave out, is that like, shit ain't sweet. You go from like, show up this time, you get a paycheck at the end of the week, you put these many hours in each day and you're happy. Versus like, okay, you just got to work 24/7 and there's really no off switch or on switch. It's just like, you're constantly in this like growth. You're constantly in this game now and there's no out, you know.
Yeah, what I mean? But then I think it then goes back to the thing I was talking about before, is that like, you just have to have love for the game and like actually genuinely, like, for me is like, I love this. It's like, I'm getting rewarded for the thing I want to do the most. I genuinely want to become a better person every single day and chase higher and higher goals and succeed more and more in life. So it's like, as a result of me doing the thing I want to do every single day, it just so happens to be the game of entrepreneurship and I make more money. So it's like, I think the reason we don't talk about it being hard is because we actually fucking enjoy doing it. And that's why you're successful, is because you enjoy doing the things you do every single day. And you enjoy working.
That's also how you don't burn out, is like, people are like, if your goal is 10K a month or 100, whatever your goal is, if it's a monetary number, then you hit that, then what, right? So what you're saying is really good, because what I always tell people is just be obsessed or have obsession with progression. Because if you're obsessed with the progress, that never stops. Right? Because you can always be a better version of yourself, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially. So rather than being like, oh, I really want to make 100K a month, just be like, yeah, I want to be fucking better tomorrow than I was today. I want to be more productive. I want to learn more. I want to grow more. And I want to be a more well-spoken, a more articulate version of myself. And when you apply yourself like that, 1, the game never stops. 2, you get to be excited to like level up your character. And it's just, you never burn out, right? Because every day you get to wake up and you have an opportunity to be a better version of yourself.
And I think you'll find that out because, you know, once you hit 10K a month, you realize, fuck,
It doesn't change anything.
this is shit.
Yeah, what happened when you hit 10K a month? I hit 10K a month and I was like, oh my God, my life is going to change. And then like an hour later, I was like, fuck, how do I make 20?
Yeah, I think also for me, it was hard to actually know that it was happening when it was happening because I was surrounded by guys that were doing 30 or 40 or 50K a month. I'm like, fuck, I'm only doing 10.
Yeah.
I'm shit. Right. And it's like the best place to be because then, you know, at the end of the year, I would go back to my hometown. I'd be like, holy fuck, this whole time I've been telling myself I'm so shit and I'm so far behind, but I'm just comparing myself to guys that are 10, 20, 30 steps ahead of me. And so it's like I think you always have to compare yourself to someone that's better than you. Because if you start comparing yourself to people that are further behind, you'll start to slack off. You'll be like, oh, fuck, I'm way further ahead than that guy. I can cruise.
What would you say? So that's like how we've grown over the last couple months. If you had to say like 6 months from now or like 12 months from now, how do you want to be better? In what areas? Whether it's like faith or focus or fitness or literally whatever. Where do you want to go and where do you feel like you can get better and evolve as a person?
I think definitely faith. I think there's one thing I haven't put the time to explore into. I think working less in a sense, but having a way bigger impact. And so I feel like a lot of the time maybe I'm just working because obviously I love it, but it's also like I'm just keeping myself busy when I don't need to actually work that much and I would actually have a bigger impact, get more done and make more money if I took a step back and reflected on what I'm actually doing and understood. Because to be completely honest, fucking 6 to 7 days a week, like there is no like, oh, okay, I stop. Because I remember you saying that today, how every Sunday you don't work as much and you like to reflect. Like I don't really do that.
Yeah.
And it's just like on to the next thing every single day. And it's like, all I'm thinking about is the next thing.
Yep.
I'm never looking back and being like, oh, this is what I've been doing. This is how far I've come. It's always like, oh, next goal. Yeah. Next goal. Okay, achieve this. What's next? What's next? What's next? So I think being more aware of what I'm doing.
Be more mindful because it's like the people who don't take Sundays off or you're constantly like this. You're constantly turning. But what I had to learn to do, something I've like learned over the last probably month or two is in entrepreneurship and especially in life in general nowadays is you almost stop hearing your own thoughts because you're constantly moving, you're constantly consuming something, you're constantly doing something. And if you're constantly in motion, you're never sat there observing what's happening. So sometimes you need to just stop. No stimulation, like no stimulus, no phone, no social media. On Sundays, you should just go no phone, no stimulus, and just like hear your own thoughts again. And it's something I did in the mornings. So now every morning I'll spend like the first hour or two with no phone, no stimulus, just my own thoughts and like the Bible maybe. And it's like you hear the word of God, you hear your own thoughts again. And then you go into the day with so much more intention and clarity because you're allowing yourself to actually hear again. And that's hearing yourself and hearing God and actually understanding like, okay, this is what I'm trying to achieve. And if everyone's consuming content, you typically in life, you want to do the opposite of what everyone else is doing because everyone's a piece of shit, right? So if everyone's constantly stimulated by social media and you're the one guy who's actually like, okay, I'm allowing myself to think and come up with original ideas, even with content now, right? How easy is it to AI everything and just get ideas and steal ideas? How many people do you think that create content are literally sitting in a room and coming up with an original idea? There's probably no one, right? So like the ability to do that and the ability to still be creative is huge. So that's definitely something that I'm focused on going into the next 6 months, growing in my faith. Hopefully at some point I'll find a wife because like I just wanted to have like a family. Like I feel like you achieve everything you want to achieve in business, then it's like, then what? You know what I mean? So a big goal of mine is to have a family, and unfortunately you need a wife for that shit. So
yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think going from 0 to like 30 to 50K a month, a girl, unless she's a day one, like it almost is a distraction.
Yeah.
But then I think there comes a time where you are almost searching for more out of life and like a safe space and someone that's going to help you get to $1 million a month. And I feel like one of the key progresses to me getting to $1 million a month is a wife. I think 100%, like having that sense of fulfillment and having someone by your side. But I think also was what you're saying is like going back to when you wake up, like even I've noticed if I wake up and I just go on my phone, like throughout the day, I'm more likely to pick up my phone and use it more. I'm more likely to scroll. I'm more likely to just jump from task to task, get a bit lost, not get that much done. But then if I'm not on my phone for say the first 1 to 2 hours, and I'm just like, even if I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna just get to the office, and I'm just like focused on just like completing errands, like random life tasks. By the time I get to the office, I'm so much more intentional with what I'm doing, and I'm not like brain fog, getting a bit lost. What am I doing here? Oh, I'm just whatever, fucking have a scroll.
I seen it explained really well, and it was, I think he called it like dopamine loading or something. And it was like, if you wake up and you go on your phone and you eat some junk food, it's like already in the morning, your dopamine's like this. But the best way to organize it is so that you don't stimulate anything. So no social media, no junk food, no like nothing. Your dopamine should be like this all day. And that's when you're getting all the tough work done, because then you're getting your dopamine from the work, and maybe you can spike it at the end of the day. So it's like, how can you keep your baseline dopamine very, very balanced? Then you're way more productive versus if you're like this, you're like talking to a bit or like chopping something, wake up, get a nut off, and then you're like eating junk food and scrolling. It's like your dopamine is like this, and then you have to do a task where you actually get real dopamine from it, and it's like, oh fuck that, I'll just scroll or I'll just beat my dick. Like it's like you need to get dopamine from real tasks. Yeah, and that's a whole skill.
How are you meant to stay focused on a task when you wake up and you scroll? Like you're having absolute maximum dopamine right off the rip. And then it's like, okay, now I want you to go do a task for 1 hour that's less dopamine. Like you're just not going to want to do it. Whereas if you wake up and you just fucking do nothing, go for a walk, and then you're like, hey, I want you to go do this 1 hour, solve this problem in business, I guarantee you're going to be way more motivated and get it done.
I think that's probably the biggest competitive advantage you can have nowadays as an entrepreneur, is the ability to actually be engaged and focused in your work. Because I think the issues that we had as an entrepreneur like 5-10 years ago would just be completely different to the ones now. The issues that people are facing now is like, how can I focus? Like, how can I not like beat my dick? Like all these like shit that people have never had to worry about before, people have to worry about now. It's like learning how to focus again. So
too much lust
in the world. When it comes to lust, when it comes to drinking, clubbing, all that shit, my favorite saying in regards to that is, a man with no purpose distracts himself with pleasure. How much less do you find yourself falling into drinking, falling into smoking, beating your dick, like women, when you actually have something that's worth more than all of that in your purpose?
Yeah.
It's 9-day difference.
I think it's insane. Like even just whenever just drinking, like I would only ever drink on very special occasions. I used to drink every weekend. I'd only drink on very special occasions, and it would be way more fulfilling, and I'd actually enjoy it. I wouldn't feel like a piece of shit after I drink. I'd be like, oh, that was actually like a nice thing to do. And yeah, I think just cutting out a lot of the shit and being like, fuck, like I'm literally just doing this for no reason at all.
You gotta ask yourself why you're doing the things, and it's like, I realized as soon as I actually had something to work on, then I just stopped drinking completely. So it's like you don't have alcohol problems or weed problems or porn addiction or whatever it is. It's like you just don't have something that's actually worth working on, and that's the issue. Because if you had something that consumed your mind and you're like obsessed with it, you wouldn't want to fucking do anything else. Like you would just want to work on that. So a man with no purpose distracts himself with pleasure, and that's like, you learned that the hard way.
Facts. Should we wrap it up with that? I think that's a fucking
Well, I think
a hard hitter.
We've done the barley one, we've done this one, so I guess to finish it off, just like, I think those were the two main things actually. Like, what have we accomplished and what are we looking to accomplish over the next couple of months? And then in the next one, we'll talk about where we're at with our faith, with the focus, the biggest like things that we've noticed that have changed and helped us. And hopefully people that watch us can be like, learn with us and grow with us. And when they watch the next one, hopefully they're a better version of themselves as well, and they're not stroking their shit anymore.
Yeah, I think my goal is just to like, I've made a lot of fucking mistakes. I've been through a lot of shit, and I just don't want someone else to have to fucking waste their time and make the same mistakes. Yeah. Obviously, it's good to make mistakes, but if this can help even just one person out there, be like, oh, fuck, cool. I actually don't need to drink every weekend, and I'll still be happy. And I can actually act like someone that's making 50K a month, and I'll make 50K a month. Like, if I can help people like that, then, man, that's all that matters to me.
100%. The shift that I've made over the last couple of months is, I think in the beginning I was a bit selfish. I wanted money for the sake of having money. Once you make the money, then you realize it doesn't really change anything except for like once 30K or 100K, what's the difference? Nothing really, right? So over the last couple of months for me, it's been becoming really impact driven. And what I tell people is like, if you're impact driven, that is so much more fulfilling than like doing it for selfish desires. So these next couple months, I just want to create content that impacts even more people positively, because you can be like a fucking streamer, or you can be an idiot online and reach a lot of people. But I think we both know people aren't going to care about the watches. They're not going to ask how many bitches did you fuck. They're not going to ask how many remote suitcases did you buy, or how many cars did you buy, or any of that shit. How cool were the edits you made? People, when you die or whatever, they're going to remember you for the impact that you made. So ever since Ben Beta, do you know Ben Beta? When he died, everyone's reaction to his passing is what made me realize, like, yo, I want to make an amazing impact on as many people that I can, because everyone was like, this guy was the best guy in the world. So seeing that made me realize, like, being impact driven, no one was talking about the car he drove. No one was talking about the watches that he had. People were talking about the impact that he had on them. So now that's what I try to keep at the front of my mind when I'm making content, when I'm working with my clients one-on-one. I even heard something about him where it was like, he loved his info product, like, and everyone in it, like it was their baby, right? Like, he really, really cared about his clients. And I saw that and I started, like, whenever a client wants to jump on a one-on-one now, I'm on with them, because it's not about how many people you impact, but it's how many people did you positively impact while you had the chance. So going into these next couple of months, I want to make sure I impact as many people that I can, and positively impact and inspire and change their lives. And I'm sure it's like the same for you.
100%.
So let's make it happen, boys.
Let's fucking go.
We're going to be in Japan next. We might shoot some content there, but
let's see him film a little jappy wappy one.
Watch the Japan vlog, watch the Bondi vlog, watch the Dubai vlog, and watch the Bali vlog if you're Finn Kwong, because he goes to Bali. Well, yes! That's it. Guys, it's been a pleasure having you guys. Finn Kwong, it's been a pleasure having a conversation with my brother right here. Guys, we'll see you in the next one. Good night and God bless.